Hello and welcome everyone to Birthing New Earth, where courageous individuals are stepping up to ask the hard questions, look at the tough decisions, and make responsible choices that are necessary to leave a sustainable living legacy of thriving life on this planet for the next 7 generations and beyond. I'm your host, Kathy Forrest, founder of Celestial Forest Institute, and we're here today with my dear friend, Bonnie Salamon. Welcome, Bonnie. So good.
Thank you, Kathy. It's such a joy to be with you as always. Thanks for inviting me.
Bonnie is an alchemical high priestess and creatrix in the Nicole Christine lineage. She has been facilitating these processes and many others for over 13 years. She is a greaterness coach, a pathway to bliss expert, and a certified life cycle celebrant, creating ceremonies and rituals to mark life's milestones. Bonnie is a sought-after teacher and motivational speaker. She's been providing a forum for those contemplating the next steps in life for over a decade and is honored to provide a roundtable consciousness for her circles. She's a published author and creatrix of the Wisdom of Aging Oracle, which is a very cool card deck if you haven't tried that. Today, Bonnie, your topic, I'm so excited about it, is Rocking Your Legacy. Now,
That it is.
Just share a little bit. When you say rocking your legacy, what is that all about?
So, Kathy, most people think when they think about legacy, they think about money, they think about their property. What can I leave of a physical nature for those who come after?
Mm-hmm.
And it's my belief that there is so much more to it than that we've all lived decades. We have shared amazing experiences, and we're going to be the ancestors of tomorrow. When you think about it, we've been given lots of gifts from our ancestors. Mm-hmm. And of course, we want to pass that on to future generations, along with all of the gifts that we have to give. So when you think about the fact that in years to come, we're going to be the ancestors, there seems like there is so much more to give than just money or property. Not that those aren't important, because they are if you have them. Mm-hmm. And some of the other gifts that you leave behind are a legacy extraordinaire.
Wow.
So I'm all about helping people really rock that legacy and make it unique and special for those who are left.
Wow, that sounds really juicy. So I've been, in the times that we're in with the virus, I know people have been dipping into their savings. They've been having to do things that they hadn't planned on doing. So if you don't have, or if you suddenly have come on difficult times and you don't have a lot of money or property to leave your family, what are things you might consider?
Well, all of your experiences that have made up the sum total of who you are, those are all gifts. And as I look back in my lifetime, I so wish that I had more information from my parents, my grandparents. A lot of our history was lost in Russia and during the Holocaust. And so it just seems that I would give anything to have more of that for myself. And I don't know who's going to come after me other than my son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter. Mm-hmm. And who's going to come after them, and what can I leave them? So I have my stories, I have my truths, I have my belief system. I have all the love in my heart that I may not always express verbally, to my
Mhm.
family, although
Mhm.
I try. But there's so many thoughts that I want to share.
Mhm.
And that can be done in any number of ways. And we can talk about those if you like at this point or, further on down. Uh,
Well,
but I think that with a little thought, the gifts are enormous that
mhm.
we leave.
Wow. So, what might a person consider if they were looking to leave a legacy?
Mhm.
Like, what would that look like? I mean, because I get.
So, yeah, absolutely, Kathy.
Mhm.
So, the first thing I would say is leaving kind of a clean slate. And what that means is take care of your documentation
Mhm.
beforehand. Make sure that's all up to date. You don't want the people who are coming after you to have to deal with a lot of those details.
Mhm.
But that's just the beginning. And I think that how you organize your home so that when someone comes in after you're gone, what is it that they would have to do? And that's kind of like the foundation. So, you kind of set that foundation up and then you build on it.
Mhm.
One of the things that I love to share with my clients is about writing legacy letters. And in the olden days, if you will, a legacy letter was all that could be left behind. And some of them are very short and to the point, but many of them become books and become memoirs or become picture books
Mhm.
with pictures that go all the way back, perhaps including some ancestors. Also, all of your major experiences in life. What brought you to be who you are?
Mhm.
And what are the gifts that you believe you have brought to this lifetime?
Mhm.
What is it that you want to live on after you? So those things can go in a legacy letter. Anything that can be touched,
Mhm.
physically touched, and the words absorbed into the being of knowing how much the person left behind has been loved, respected, what that person added to your life. And so a legacy letter doesn't necessarily have to be to an heir, it can be to a dear friend who
Mhm.
has supported you through your lifetime that you want to know how much they have meant to you.
Mhm.
Another way to do a legacy letter is with recordings. So
Wow.
those can be done. You can just sit in front of your computer and make a recording. Of course, I suggest that you organize, what you want to say so it doesn't ramble forever. So you can do the recording that way. Or what I've begun doing with my clients is I interview them. We talk about what questions they want to have me ask, just similar to this.
Mhm.
And we just have conversation.
Mhm.
And we talk about all the amazing things they've done in their lives. I think, really, truly, Kathy, we don't celebrate ourselves enough. We
Mhm.
don't honor ourselves enough. We've kind of been taught to be humble and not to strut our stuff too much.
Mhm.
This would be the time when you would strut your stuff. This would
Wow.
be the time when you would share all the adventures that you've had in your life and bring it to the point of where you are now.
Wow.
So there's a lot of ways to do this. And yes, all of our formats for recording seem to change on a dime,
Mhm.
but somehow these can be resurrected. I know that I have 8 millimeter films from when I was a child
Mhm.
that my son was able to put on a disc. And wow, that is so precious to me,
Mhm.
to see, my relations all
Mhm.
back together again, and it's
Wow.
beautiful, and it's just something that I want to pass on as well. So that's just a start of a list, and as creative as anyone can be, that's how creative their legacy can be. So those are just a few ways
Mhm.
that we do that.
So, are there any things that specifically, like I know you've said this is the way to think about it, but are there certain things that you would say this needs to be in there, this needs to be in there, this needs to be in there? Like, what are things that should go in there besides all of the other stuff?
I think your background from your childhood, what helped form you? Was it a spiritual background? Did you have the care? Did you feel loved? Uh, what what was the foundation of your life?
Mhm.
And then moving into, how did I meet the people who've been influential in my life, and what impact did they have on me?
Mhm.
When I'm an adult, what are the work situations that matter to me?
Mhm.
If you're a parent, when did I become a parent, and how did that change my life? What were some of my greatest adventures? What makes me laugh? We want to add a lot of joy into our legacy, if at all possible. I mean, some
Mhm.
people have very difficult lives, and somewhere along the line there was joy. And isn't that, I mean, doesn't your heart kind of swell when you think about that, and you really want to add some delight? What were my favorite foods? What's my favorite color? What's my favorite holiday? Did I
Right.
like the holidays that had fireworks? So it's kind of like from the heart.
Mhm.
What makes my heart sing?
Mhm.
Did you make my heart sing? Well, if you did, I want to tell you that you made my heart sing, and that my life wouldn't have been the same if you hadn't been in it.
Wow.
So it's soul pieces that
Mhm.
we excavate and lift up and
Mhm.
share.
So it sounds like, when you first introduced this, I thought, oh, you just do like one. But you could do this for your family, you could do this for your friends, you could do it for several. That could take up a lot of your time, but you could, couldn't you?
Well, it can,
Mhm.
and right now we have time.
Mhm.
This is the time. And
Mhm.
if it takes a year or 5 years,
Mhm.
that's fine too.
Mhm.
It depends on your age, your physical health, of course. Um, all of those things are important. And this is not a rush job. You don't have to
Right,
get it all done tomorrow.
right.
And I think it's very intimidating for people to think, oh my God, I have this list of things to get done. Mm-mm.
Mhm.
So yeah, spread it out. Get a calendar. Say, okay, this year I'm going to do this, and next year I'll do that,
Mhm.
and then see how it rolls.
Right.
Just to know what you have ahead of you.
Mhm.
And my free gift to everyone is a checklist of some things that can go in your
Okay,
legacy
cool,
letter.
cool, cool, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of different categories and things that they might want to consider.
Mhm.
Another thing that makes a legacy really exciting is to plan your own end of life party.
Wow. Wow.
Uh, yeah. Now, more and more people are doing it while they're still alive because
Right,
they want to hear what everyone has to
right.
say about them.
Sure, sure, sure. So they have the
And yeah, and it can really,
party.
fun.
Wow. Wow.
That can be really a hoot. And as a life cycle celebrant, I help, support that and help people plan their end of life. If you don't want to do that, perhaps you want to have a memorial service. I already have mine written out. I know who I want to help perform it. I know who I want to invite. I have a playlist, a music playlist of the songs of my life that I want to share. And that's a great gift too. So, as creative as you can be, that's how much you can create in your end of life legacy. So
Wow.
yeah. And you can have a good time with it. You can have fun. Yes, it's going to be sad. No, we don't want to, oftentimes we just don't want to give up our life, especially if we've had, meaning in our life and love in our life. We may not be ready to go. I mean, not a lot of people would make the choice to go today. And if you celebrate your life, it doesn't have to be all dark and all black. You know what I mean? It can be uplifting and joyous. I hope that that's how my people are going to see me, as having lived my life to the fullest, some crazy adventures, a lot of love. And those are the things that I really want to impart. And I think many people want to do that. The reason that I'm bringing all this up now is because of the coronavirus. And it's made many people look at their end of life. We don't know. There's so many unknowns. And one of the things I did during this time was I pulled out all my documents and oh, this is out of date and I need to get this updated so that who knows. So it's a question of setting your priorities. What do you want the foundation of your legacy to look like? And once you know that, then you can set up a roadmap of, okay, I'm going to do this first, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that.
Wow.
It's a very personal choice.
Right.
Very personal choice.
Well, and so it really, you kind of get caught up in living and you forget about this part. And legacy has so many meanings other than a piece of property or money or whatever. And really and truly, making sure that all of those hard pieces, the family doesn't have to make those choices because you've already made them, seems like a legacy in and of itself. It's like part of it. And I just look at, because I'm sitting here, they always have the piped in music and blah, blah, blah at, at somebody's end of life ceremony. But what if they were playing the songs that were popular when you were in high school instead? It could really.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it could way be a lot more fun and a lot less heavy. So, Bonnie, I can't wait to hear your, not that I want you checking out anytime soon, but I can't like, that sounds yum. You might have to play that for me early.
Well, I want you to be there to party with me while I'm still alive, Kathy.
Right.
Sure. Have my end of life while I'm still kicking around.
That's a plan.
And I think, yeah, and I think that's where the joy can come in. Yes, there are going to be people who are sad, but I want people to be glad that I lived and glad that I shared. So yeah, shed a tear and then, take some of what I've given and pay it forward.
Right.
So
right.
yeah.
So you could also, go ahead.
Well, I can't stress enough the importance of the upfront work of getting your documents in order. And there's something called the 5 wishes. There are very many little books out there that you can write in to share how you want, your end of life to be. And of course, to have medical directives is critically important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the bones, the skeleton of it.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is the heart and soul work.
Wow. Okay, cool. And so then, beyond the bones, like things that you were alluding to as well that maybe people haven't thought of, because this is really all about your life. But if there was someone that had done this that had information about your history, you could include that. Yes. Like, for instance, if you have
Absolutely.
grandmas and grandpas that go all the way back that maybe people don't know exist, that could be included. So you could go crazy with it if you wanted, like
You
books and
can do Ancestry.
mhm.
I'm sorry, say again.
I was just, in my mind, there were like scrapbooking and all kinds of ways that you could house
Yeah,
it, I guess. Yeah. Wow.
absolutely. And that's why it's good to work with someone who can kind of direct you, okay, what do we need to do next?
Mm-hmm.
And keep people from the sense of overwhelm
Mm-hmm.
that can come when you think about, okay, I have all this to do and I want to leave an unusual legacy. I've had a wonderful life. I want a great legacy. And where do I start? So
Right.
that's part of the work that I do with my clients.
Wow.
And it's wonderful because it's not, it really doesn't have to be sad. There can be so much joy
Mm-hmm.
in the whole process, and
Well,
a
and
lightness of being. And when it, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Well, when it's done, what happens inside a person? It opens up such a place, what we call the hollow bone within, that frees up your energy to do
Mm.
other things.
Wow.
Because end of life kind of hangs over people's shoulders. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, but when you've given this consideration, even when you haven't finished everything,
Mm-hmm.
it changes your inner landscape and leaves more room for your creative energy.
Wow. I never even thought of that either. But yes, I can feel that just as you speak into it. So having someone that guides you along and says, these are the things you need to look at, because I wouldn't have the first clue, that's what you do. Wow. I always would read,
That's part of what I do.
the celebrant part. I never realized it involved all of this. So I'm learning. And wow.
Well, a life cycle celebrant honors all the cycles of life.
Mhm.
And and as I mentioned before, I think we do not celebrate ourselves nearly enough.
Mhm.
I mean, we have lived decades, we've experienced things, we've gone through hardships, we've gone through joys, and a lot of times we just take that in stride. We just keep going.
Mhm. Mhm.
A perfect example. Back in the day when I was a younger woman, I had 3 miscarriages. I lost 3 babies. And at that time, it was like, okay, take a couple of days, get your strength back, and then go to work.
Mhm.
Did I celebrate those lives? Did I create a ceremony of closure for myself? I didn't know to do that.
Mhm.
And so part of being a life cycle celebrant is honoring those passages that
Mhm.
we all have.
Mhm.
And that's part of what you leave in a legacy.
Mhm.
Let people know what the passages were
Mhm.
that you experienced,
Mhm.
and how they changed you.
Mhm.
I'm tearing up just
Right.
thinking
I
about
can
it.
understand. I mean, that is powerful. And you're so right. I mean, so many of us, that's the drill. We just keep going and we don't stop to do that. And it changes in that moment that you shared that story with me. It changed. And I think I knew that back in there somewhere, but it changed my perception of you immediately, um, in a good way. But, you know, it's like there's probably many people out there that didn't know that about you. And if you share that in your legacy, it deepens their experience of you and who you are. So I so honor this work. This is just incredible. If someone wanted to get information about how to work with you, what would they do? Where does all this happen?
Well, there's a few places.
Mhm.
Of course, my email is really simple. It's bonniesalomon@gmail.com. I have a website, autumnsfire.org, AUTUMNS, fire.org, because we all have fire in the
Mhm.
autumn of our
Mhm.
lives if we
Right.
allow it.
Mhm.
And I will have information on my free gift to
Mhm.
everyone,
Sure.
which is that legacy letter checklist.
Mhm.
And by all means, drop me a note,
Mhm.
give me a call. We can set up a time to talk further and see what it is that you're looking to leave in your legacy.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow, wow, wow. Is
I,
there anything else you
I
would like
guess,
to? Go ahead.
well, I was just going to say that I believe that this is such a spiritual journey that we take when we begin to look at our legacy.
Mhm.
And I incorporate all the elements into this as well because it is a practice that involves earth, water, air, and fire. And I know that's kind of like, but it is true. And if we have another moment, I'd like to share just
Sure,
a little bit
absolutely.
about that, Kat.
Mhm. Mhm.
When we look at the earth and we see that it's our physical realm, those are all the physical pieces that we put together. It's the documentation and it's the physical property that we leave behind. It's also the manuscript, the legacy letter, or something physical.
Mhm.
It can even be gifts of jewelry. I still wear my mother's wedding ring and
Mhm.
plan to pass that on as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
So those are from the physical realm. The water realm is the realm of emotion. And when we share our feelings, our love for someone, we're invoking the water element.
Mhm.
With air, what have we believed all our lives? What are the tenets of our life? What are the values of our lives?
Mhm.
And setting an intention to share those is the air realm, the
Mhm.
mental realm.
Mhm.
And then the fire realm, which is the realm of taking action, that's when we actually begin to pull this all together. And we invoke our spiritual selves in this process. So whether you believe in a higher power or whether it's higher consciousness, whatever it is,
Mhm.
you're inviting that to come into the legacy that you leave.
That's
So
beautiful.
it is a very elemental process.
Mhm.
And as I was preparing to do this work, and it occurred to me, oh my goodness, this involves all the elements. I have to share that. So
Right? Of
thanks
course
for
you do.
allowing that time.
For sure, for sure. Is there anything else you'd like to share with all of our listeners about, any parting words as because, we're still kind of floating around in the unknown and who knows how long we'll be here.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. That's it. And it's it behooves us to really find what joy we can in this time And the moments may not be many, or they may be abundant. The point is that let's make that our focus,
Mhm.
and not to be overwhelmed by this process of legacy. It's a step by step process,
Mhm.
and I've been thinking about it for years, and I'm finally now in my 70s and finally making it come together in a way that I hope will be meaningful for my children and my children's children and so forth.
Beautiful.
So I want to honor you for the work that you're doing, Kathy, in this process. You have just taken on quite a large task, and you're doing it with your usual style and grace. And I've just been so honored to be a part of this.
Well, Bonnie, I'm honored to have you here. And this is, I feel like, a very integral piece of what I wanted to share in this summit. I wanted to share really practical tools that all of us could use to move ourselves forward in something that feels unknown to us all right now. So this feels like an anchor to me. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this and being willing to help our audience.
Like, well, thank everyone for tuning in and staying through to the end. And I'd love to hear from you and love to support your journey as you think about being an ancestor of tomorrow.
Beautiful.